Afternoon, I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times. Tuesday, April 5th. News in Arkansas today includes news that there won't be quite so much news as expected this week from the special session of the Arkansas legislature. Governor Asa Hutchinson announced this morning that he will not ask the legislature to consider his plan to have managed care companies operate Medicaid programs for the mentally retarded and for the developmentally disabled. This is a result of a big split developing the legislature between people who'd like to keep the existing system or something like it rather than go to a strict managed care program as Asa Hutchinson wants. Both sides say they can save money. Both proposals raise questions about services. The governor decided it would needlessly complicate the session to raise that issue. He will have a vote on the framework of his so-called Arkansas Works plan. This is the rebranding of the private option, which is actually the Obamacare finance expansion of Medicaid to people above the poverty line. It's put 250,000 people under health insurance. The governor wants to continue it because it puts a lot of money into the state budget. There is some resistance. This week's vote is largely symbolic of not much. It undoubtedly has majority support. But the appropriation bill for implementation of the law will require 3/4 votes. That's not going to happen until the fiscal session of the legislature, which begins later this month. Otherwise, thank goodness for Mississippi. You know, we say that a lot about Arkansas, and this is another one of those times where it's kind of a bad way. Arkansas in 2015 passed a law that is intended to give people an excuse to discriminate against gay people by claiming a religious exemption. Mississippi's done a similar law but made it even worse, made it very clear that it's all about discriminating against LGBT people. Their governor signed that bill today despite opposition from a lot of industry sources. This follows North Carolina's decision to pass a sweeping anti-LGBT bill as well. Today, PayPal, the big online payment company, announced that it was going to scrap a 400-employee expansion in Charlotte, North Carolina, precisely because of this discriminatory legislation. Other major companies have promised not to go ahead with activities in North Carolina as well. Arkansas has kind of slipped under the radar on this so far, but interestingly, Friday at a session of young business leaders, Governor Asa Hutchinson was told by a young man from Northwest Arkansas that he'd had a hard time recruiting employees here because they knew about our discriminatory legislation and they didn't want to work in a state that had that kind of law. And someday we too are going to have to come to grips with this. Mike Wilson, the former legislator from Jacksonville and a lawyer, has amended his lawsuit aimed at putting a stop to pork barrel politics in Arkansas. This is the practice the legislature uses to divvy up surplus money to pay for local projects. Wilson sued 10 years ago, stopped the process as unconstitutional. They came up with a workaround where they launder the money through planning and development districts. He says that's still illegal. He's amended his lawsuit to show the ways in which the planning districts don't comply with state law in passing out this legislative money. We learned today that at least 2 districts in Arkansas, including the one in central Arkansas, have stopped passing out the legislative money because of this pending lawsuit, which is yet to be decided. There's a group at work in Arkansas on stiffening the ethics law that we thought we stiffened in 2014, but the legislature actually weakened. There's a proposal circulating that would prohibit corporate contributions to PACs, that would absolutely eliminate lobbyist payment for trips and wining and dining of legislators, and make another round of good changes in the Arkansas ethics law. It hadn't been approved for the ballot yet. They have been doing polling on this. This group has some financial resources behind it. Polls show voters overwhelmingly want to see a stronger ethics law in Arkansas. You really wonder how the dark money will get to work to convince voters that loose ethics are a good thing for them rather than a bad thing. Elsewhere, I urge you to read Ernest Newman's column in the Arkansas Times this week. It's online now on the Arkansas blog. It explains the Clean Line Energy project. This is the project that's going to carry wind-generated electricity across Arkansas from Oklahoma to Tennessee. Also going to provide clean energy to Arkansas that will allow us to retire some dirty coal-fired power plants. Arkansas's congressional delegation, all the Republicans think this is a terrible idea, but they love the idea of shipping dangerous tar sands across Nebraska from Canada. But that's somebody else's state, not theirs. Finally, we have 2 pieces of good news I wanted to end the day with. Number one, Pulaski Academy announced today that its junior Stephanie Zhao had scored a rare triple perfection on the SAT, PSAT, and ACT test. Way to go, Stephanie. That's certainly good news. And I know there's one other thing. Tennessee's legislature trying to outdo Arkansas, has now adopted a state book on top of a state sniper rifle. The state book in Tennessee is the Bible. I've asked our readers to come up with suggestions for what the Arkansas state book should be. It would take true grit, as I've said, to top the Bible in Arkansas, I know, but I think our readers are up to the task. Let me know. Max Brantley at arctimes.com if you got a book to nominate. I'll see you tomorrow.